Right time Montel here from Triple Enterprise, and this interview is sponsored by Hoyland, so get all your audio needs from there. And I'm here joined by the promoter, Johnny Clark. How are you doing?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Good to see you.
Good to see you too, and it's been an amazing turnout so far for the media day. What I want to talk about is just how you even got into the promotional space. What drew you to being a promoter?
I think I lost my mind, if I'm being honest. To be honest with you, I had a good sales company that was quite successful, that gave me a lot of spare time. But in my sales company, me and my business partner, we hired someone. That someone was Harley Ben. So Harley Ben and my business partner, a lot of back and forth about football, boxing, banter. And then we went to Will Jones's gym where they were training, sparring, and I was just being around the gym, and they said, "Oh, you should get into management, you should do this, you should do that." And I thought, yeah, I would love to be fair. And I watched my friend Lee Eaton do it, and I thought, if you can do it, like my best mate was a sales manager, I could do that as well. So you kind of like see something's achievable and you follow them. And basically, long story short, I followed them, and then I thought, I don't really want to be a number two. I want to be the man at the front. Managing's all right, but you need 3 years to get your license. What can I do? I thought, on a show. I know I can put on a good show. Then I realised how hard it actually is.
No, of course, and obviously talking about how difficult it is. Tell me some of the challenges that you've had actually getting into the industry and actually making a name for yourself as a promoter.
The main thing is the loss on shows. Every show runs at a loss, so you've got to get the sponsors on board to try and break even. That's the aim of small halls, to break even. Then you get titles, and there's no way of breaking even with the amount that titles cost. Titles ain't really made for small hall. The walkout screens that I do with the brand, it's not made for small hall, like Dylan White and AJ actually fought in a hall like this down the road in Chadwell in their amateurs. That is small hall, just a ring, cheap lights, and you go in there, you sell your tickets, you fight, you move on, and hopefully you get signed, but the way I've done it is to bridge the gap. And the hardest thing with that is we can do all this work here. Some boys have got black eyes today, some nearly got cut, some might have an injury. The hardest thing I found is on the fight week, a lot of people drop off with either medicals or injuries. That's the hardest. If I was promised today that everyone on this card was on the card, then I'd be a lot happier. But the problem is you get so many obstacles, mainly medicals and paperwork, that seem to be the harder part, and obviously injuries, and they're the biggest tests.
No, of course, and to be fair, you've done very well. Look, you're partnered with DAZN, that's obviously a massive achievement. So talk to me about how you actually got into partnering with DAZN, and I want to ask you something separately after that.
Yeah, that's cool. So I messaged DAZN, they ignored me. And then they had Misfits show cancel and another show cancel on the weekend, and they asked me, can you put on a show in 2 weeks? I said, easy. But I said, I won't do it. And they was like, why? I said, because if I deliver you small hall how I see it, I need at least 6 to 8 weeks. I said, I've got to match 50-50 fights. I'm not going to give you that in 2 weeks. They was like, okay, no worries. And I thought, I might have shot myself in the foot, but I think they might respect that. So then it went from emails to Instagram then. Do you know what I mean? So less formal. So I slid in again and said, look at this card I've got. It was a year ago yesterday, sorry. And I was worried about going on there, not staying on there, because it's not a contract. They don't pay me. They don't pay for the filming. I pay for everything. But I was worried about being on there and coming off. So I don't want to go below that level. I only want to stay that level or above. And a year later, every show's been on there. I've had to go to the Sundays because I didn't want to clash with Eddie. And then now Frank, I wanted to be in my own lane. And I think Sundays, like you can see today, there's not much traffic on the road. Everyone can make it. And ticket sales actually go well.
No, of course. You actually mentioned something I was going to ask you about this Sunday. So what's that been like actually transitioning from like the traditional Saturday, Friday nights also to Sunday shows?
Well, I'm from football originally. So, every Sunday was about sports for me. You get up early in the morning, play football, and then you watch it at night. You know what I mean? The Sun's Super Sunday. And for me, it was a blessing. The first show I done on a Sunday, I went home afterwards and I slept by 1 o'clock. And then I was up at 8 o'clock. I didn't even know I'd done a show the day before. When I'd done a show on a Saturday, I normally do all the media work to about 1, get home about 3, empty all the gloves out, spread them out so they don't get all the moisture on them. And, it's not nice when you wake up to a car full of sweaty, bloody gloves. I tell you, all the mould and that. And then I normally go to sleep about 5, 6, 7 a.m. And then you wake up the next day, flu-like symptoms, absolutely battered with stress. But the Sunday just took all that away. Start early, finish early. everyone could arrive that was meant to arrive. You know, the only problem I did have was some media team were in Newcastle at a Misfits show and they couldn't get down to mine in time because I started early. That was the only issue, but listen, that's their loss. You know, I still was on DAZN and aired to many people, and I had my own media team, but I just felt like it was so much better. A few people complained, like the boxers, people got work tomorrow, ticket sales won't go well. I said, we'll see. And ticket sales were fine, absolutely fine.
Makes a lot of sense, and it's a very competitive market, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
Having boxers that want to appeal and fight on a Sunday, especially on your show, what's it like actually getting these boxers on board for top tier? How's that been, that process?
To be fair, like I had a little break from my last show. It'll be a 15-week break, show to show. First time I've ever had that long break, and it seemed to work. So I got 6 titles, so that was fine. And it's quite easy when you've got DAZN. You know, like to make them fights, because no one gets paid on my show. They're all on ticket deals. So you have to give them something back. So days like this, promo videos, the media attention, the posts, the photographers, the photos. I give them all this as a package when they leave, all their photos, their videos, and they're happy. They can go on to another show with my content. I don't mind that, you know, because you come on my show. You know what I mean? I think I've got to do a head-to-head. I'll come back.
All right, cool.
I'll come back, pause it, yeah?
Just picking this back up.
Yeah.
So, just something else I want to touch on as well. You mentioned obviously top tier, getting the fighters on, but what would you look for? Like, what would you look for in fighters that you're looking to say, these guys going to sign the things? What would you say?
Big set of cojones. Someone, listen, the ticket sales don't bother me. Like everyone says, I've never asked one boxer how many tickets they sold. Never once. Doesn't bother me. When you go to a show, could be at York Hall, there could be 16 people there, or there could be 16,000 there. You're never going to remember the crowd. You're going to remember the fight. So what I say is, as long as you're willing to give me a good fight, you'll be on. Win, lose or draw, you'll be on. Look at Kevin Revell. Look at James Ozzy Osbourne. You know, they've won, they've lost. They've been main event twice, Ozzy. You know what I mean? Like, it isn't about the ticket sales. It's just about what's within. And like, ambition is the name of the show, because like Lindsay, Lily, Zach, like they've all been on my show building, and now they're fighting each other. That's what I expect in boxing. I didn't come from boxing background, come from business, football, sports, and I see boxing was a bit fake when I got into it. Do you know what I mean? I didn't know Journeyman when I had my interview to be a promoter. I did not know about Journeyman. Then when I started putting on my first show, and the man was asking for a certain amount of money to box, I was like, I said, I'll go and get him to box him, and then you ain't got to pay him, you just split the tickets with me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's how I see boxing, and I think every company needs to be different because of the owner, and that's me. I'm the promoter. This is how I see boxing, this is how we want it. But of course, sometimes not slated Journeyman, they've kept me on. They kept shows on, they've saved my show before. But for me, the ambition was to 12 fights, all 50-50s, but to have 6 titles on, outstanding.
Of course, that's amazing.
Yeah.
And you mentioned the ambition. What is the ambition for top tier in general? Like, what is the next trajectory for you, the next milestone?
To be honest, like, I've had a few people ask that, and when I first got asked, being the Essex lad, the mini wannabe Eddie Hearn, I was like, I'm going to do West Ham Football Stadium. He's going to be my main event. Like, listen, small hall Sundays. It's got a ring to it. As long as it don't cost me money and I can keep rolling them out and even earn a wage from it, that's happy. But top tier, I want people to know that if you're coming from top tier, you've been in a good fight, you've got a title, you've been built nicely, or you're quite tough, so they'll be a bit worried to fight you because you're the type of person that will fight on top tier. And that's kind of what I wanted for the name. But I think like people talk about Sky and they want a couple of promoters and that, and they said, what would happen if they come for you? And I said, I'd still want to stay small ball though, like, because when you go bigger, you've got to start paying purses, and that's where the money goes. The hustle and the bustle is the ticket sales, you know what I mean? And that's what I like. So I'd like to stay at this level for a little while, and when the time's right, step up. Yeah.
No, last one. What are the key memories or the key achievements you've had from top tier so far?
Well, within one show, I got asked to be on Sky on a channel called AOZAT. Then, like, obviously, like the titles, I didn't expect them to come. That was on show 2, and I didn't expect them to come that quick. But it'll be more DAZN. It's massive, and I think the reputation when I go to other shows, the board and everyone, the way they treat me, like, I'm quite proud of it, because it'd be someone else's show and they'll come up to me, show me a lot of love, but it's because how I treat them. And I said, like, it's because I haven't changed. I've stayed myself, and I haven't let boxing and horrible people in this industry change me. You know what I mean? So my biggest thing will be staying real to myself and treating the boxers the same.
Totally appreciate that, and I appreciate your time as well, Johnny.
No, I
We'll catch
appreciate
up
you.
again,
That was really good,
for
mate.
sure.
Enjoyed that.
No problem.
Sorry about the interruption.